Welcome to the Beyond the Craft podcast, your gateway to the world behind the scenes of creativity and talent. I'm Kev McRae, the creative director and founder of Revevant, where we breathe life into concepts through the art of animation. And alongside me is my cousin Keith, the founder and director of Breakout Recruitment, whose expertise spans the realms of talent acquisition and industry innovation. Together, we are embarking on a journey to uncover the hidden gems, untold stories, and invaluable lessons within our respective fields. Whether you're a seasoned professional or an aspiring creative soul, our goal is to provide a unique blend of experiences, knowledge, and insights that will trigger your passion and fuel your journey. Through candid conversations and shared wisdom, we invite you to join us as we navigate the ever-evolving landscapes of animation and recruitment. Our hope is that you'll not only find inspiration in our discussions, but also practical advice that you can apply to your own endeavors. Welcome to Beyond the Craft.
We are back from our cup of tea. We went away for a cup of tea for episode 6, part 1. This is our first two-parter as well.
It is.
It's a landmark. It was so good we had to do a second part. In the time that we've drank that cup of tea and come back, I've hurt my hamstring. Kev's Revevant has won an award for the work they did on Oakley. And Scotland have been kicked out of the Euros. That was a hell of a cup of tea.
Well, I think everyone saw that coming.
Especially me being at the game against Germany. Jeepers creepers.
Dang.
Before we go into the talent source, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about the award you won last week, actually.
The award was for the Scottish Design Awards. It was for animation and visual effects, moving image design, I think. And yeah, we were pretty pleased with that. And I think the week before that, we won the Royal Television Scotland Awards for Oakley Future Genesis as well, which was great. So that's racking up.
So you're looking for a cabinet maker to store all these awards now.
Need a heavy shelf.
Need a heavy shelf. Yeah. Still hasn't got an Oscar or a BAFTA. And funny story is, well, his wife has a BAFTA. So, you know.
Does.
Got to catch up a little bit on that one.
The big BAFTAs.
Big BAFTAs, yeah. Yeah, okay. Episode 6, part 2, talent sourcing. We're going to jump straight in. And Kev's going to tell us a little bit about hiring someone on the spot. Because recently you did just that. It wasn't recently. What was it? 2-3 months ago. Talk us through that situation.
Did I mention that in the last podcast? I think I did. That.
You did say that you'd hired somebody on the spot, but we have to ensure that the listeners realize that this isn't a LinkedIn meme, that you haven't stolen this from somebody's LinkedIn post, that you saw some twinkling light in the guy's eyes and you decided to hire him there and then. Yeah, this is the true story.
It's somebody that I'd been having a conversation with for years, and I really wanted to bring him onto the team. Probably about 4 or 5 years, I invited him into the studio, and I just couldn't justify his skill set. We didn't have a big enough requirement in the studio to bring him in. Mm-hmm. But I've always kept in touch with him. He's always been on the same page in terms of his style. He's got a very good sense of humor that works with ours. His personality just kind of fits, and so. Yeah, we're in quite a fortunate position where we've got some work coming up, and I've got the foresight, and so I was able to make the decision, and it's a sort of rare opportunity to be able to offer him a position on the spot, which made him very happy, and it made me happy, because I was able to do that as well. And so basically, it's not a huge risk, because I think we were talking earlier, is that we always give people 3 weeks to kind of come on board and sort of prove themselves a little bit, just to see how we work and see how they work. Mm-hmm. Make sure that they're going to be an effective fit. And then all going well, we'll review after the 3 weeks and extend that period to 3 months. And then it's a 3-month probational period. And then we'll do reviews at the end of every month. Mm-hmm. At the end of the 3 months, we'll have a and make sure that everyone is kind of happy. We'll get feedback from the team, and we'll get feedback from him, and all hunky-dory. We'll move forward with the permanent full-time contract position.
I mean, is that a market norm in the UK though, or in your industry? Because when you have them on a 3-week probation period, so So are they a contractor in that essence that you're paying them for like 3 weeks worth of work? They bill you and then
Exactly. It's more like a sort of freelance type contract.
So that I can understand then how the risk is minimized in that regards, as opposed to bringing somebody in straight away. Here you go, permanent contract, indefinite, get to work.
Yeah, I've done that in the past where I've interviewed people and then just offered them a full-time job, obviously. But I've had my hands burnt a few times where people have just not been able to deliver or been up to scratch or maybe even lied in their interview or with their portfolio.
How have you found that out then, actually, if they've lied about the portfolio?
It always comes to light. Everything always comes to light eventually. So you put them in certain positions and challenge them. You give them the benefit of the doubt to begin with, just because you're like, okay, well, maybe they've got the skills, but they've never done it in this way before. So let's give them the opportunity for challenge and peer. I always want to be nice to people and give them an opportunity to explore where they kind of fit within the studio.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. And then it's interesting. So we're talking about talent sourcing then, and what you said right at the beginning there about bringing that guy in. So it was years in the making. So I think this is an interesting subject in itself as to, identifying talent and building that relationship. I have to do that as a headhunter. There's people in my network that I will see something in them. I can't necessarily give them anything at the moment, but you just know by looking at the profiles that, okay, if I have X, Y, and Z role, this is someone I'm going to go to. And it sounds like maybe it's similar for you, because I believe you also spoke about this in another episode, is that you kind of troll, I don't know, what is it, Instagram, X, for people's kind of works, right?
Yeah, I follow people on Instagram and I'll like their work, and then I'll have a conversation with them and I'll open up the DMs and things like that. And then I can kind of gauge what kind of person they are and what they like and what they don't like. And I can often get that from their feed as well. If I'm looking at their stories, I'll often jump on ArtStation or somewhere like that as well. Or I constantly sort of looking at art kind of magazines, digital magazines, online kind of magazines, and I look at the credits, look at the team.
Oh yeah.
And then I'll look at the individual credits to say storyboard artists or 3D artists or effects artists. And then I'll reach out to them directly, or I'll link in with them and connect with them. I'll send them a sort of message that says really enjoyed this kind of work that you did. It's fantastic. How did you approach it? And in fact, I saw something just over a year ago. It was a trailer that went up on YouTube. They were using Unreal Engine, and I'd never seen anything done like that before. And I really wanted to kind of pick their brains as to how they had sort of approached it and how they had done it. And so I just invited them for a conversation. I linked in with them, the owner and the exec producer, and I just asked them if they had a 10-minute break for a quick call so I could just talk to them about something. I didn't actually mention what it was about. And then I just quite openly said, I was just curious as to, how you went about this. What's your team like? Just quite candidly. I think basically you can tell immediately if they're quite defensive about it or if they're just going to be open about it. More open you are about it, because it's not like a dark art, what we do. I feel like the more we kind of share, the more that we're all going to learn and progress faster. And so they were quite open about it, and it was really nice conversation. And I still keep in touch with those guys today as well, and because I just like the work that they produce. And yeah, I just want to be in touch with like-minded people.
That makes sense, though, I think. And I think a lot of people, especially in my line of work, they don't see the kind of the power of that kind of networking as well, in terms of whether you're sourcing talent yourself or even as an employee thinking about future opportunities, how you can best utilize, well, you obviously utilize, was it Instagram, LinkedIn, the other one, ArtStation, you mentioned, but a very innocuous kind of DM just to ask a question, and all of a sudden it kind of opens up a relationship. And I think for candidates as well, I mean, do you have a lot of candidates or professionals who reach out to you then directly in that manner?
Yeah, I get people reaching out to me all the time from business.
How do you handle it?
Creatives, I'm always very nice. The one thing that I always make sure that I get back to every single person, even if I'm busy, I will send them a short message and I'll say, really thankful for you reaching out. I'm usually busy at the moment, but once the dust settles, then I'll get back to you properly. And because the amount of times that I've in the past reached out to people and they just don't even respond, it's like my pet peeve. It takes like 2 minutes just to send a quick message, like not even 2 minutes, like 30 seconds, if that sort of thing. And yeah, it's really humbling, obviously, to receive messages from other peers and creative business owners who appreciate the work and actually put out that we won those awards up in
Yeah.
and got a really good, nice response that people really liked the work and thought it was well deserved and stuff. And so that's really nice to hear that, because I really like their work as well. And yeah, I think it's cool, but always try and stay in touch and get back to people as much as I can. The one thing that
As you should.
is difficult is if somebody asks you to review their portfolio or give them feedback. That's quite tough, because then that's quite a bit of effort and quite a bit of time that you need to invest to be able to do that. So I'm quite particular with who I would choose, and you have to kind of reach me at the right time when I've got quite a bit of time, which isn't very often at the moment.
No, I mean, talent sourcing is quite hard, but that's a nice sort of proactive way. But what about attracting it? Does the business do anything? Unless you have a physical role open, of course. I mean, that's one way of attracting talent. You have a job description, you publish it, and you look for people. But is there anything you're kind of subliminally doing with the website or your communications to ensure that, you know, people are engaging with the brand and you? And I mean, you got to be visible in the first instance, right?
Well, I reached out to Tim Miller, who runs Blur in LA.
Mm-hmm.
He's the director of Deadpool and things, and I thought he would never get back to me. And he did. He sent me a message. He was like, "What do you want?" basically. And I had to ask him a very specific question, because I knew his time was limited, and you know that he's like me, he won't always kind of like, you know, give huge amount of feedback to like every individual that reaches out to him. But I did ask him, as a creative business owner, you know, how did he go about it and what's the best process? Or I kept it really short. I can't remember exactly what I said, but he sent me a huge message back, which was amazing. And basically the ultimate takeaway from it was that if you do good work, I think his words were, if you do good shit, it's going to get seen and it markets itself, basically. So that's always been my objective, is just to do the best work that you possibly can and make sure you get it out there. And I used to be a bit like shy about sharing work, but now I'm quite bold and brazen with it, like in terms of like, check out this shit that we've been doing, because I'm proud of the team. And I think that resonates with like people. And definitely we do have a bigger, stronger, more recognizable brand identity now. And that's an investment into like the logo in the market and the website. But we were at a point last year where everything just seemed like really messy, from like our bids to our social media to the way that we sort of like shared work. And I wanted to pull it in, bring it in, and just be super professional and really high end, really slick. And so when you look at the website and everything now, it's all sort of like, yeah, cohesive. And yeah, that just gets recognized, I think. And we are peer of much more kind of magazines and things like that now as well, just because we do the work, we do the good work. And it's all about putting in the time and consideration to every project that we sort of take on, thinking about the audience, thinking about the client, thinking about like their relationship. What do they want from it?
Yeah.
I think we chatted a little bit about this earlier. Fears and dreams. Wants and needs.
That's exactly it. For the creative world, I suppose that's quite, I wouldn't say it's easy to do, right? But you've got something to show, right? So you can put it out there, and it's usually quite fancy and attractive and things like that. But from a corporate perspective as well, I mean, I work with a few executives who I suppose they do something similar, right? They work on a lot of high-end projects. They're involved with very, you know, big decision makers. They're influential, but they're so shy when it comes to the point of actually showing the work to people. I don't know if it's shy or humble.
Too humble, yeah.
You know, the way that the things are revolving on my side for LinkedIn, for example, is you really need to set yourself out from the crowd. And so on your creative industry, it's quite interesting because everybody has a portfolio. I suppose they can publish it somewhere. They can do things on Instagram. So they're being seen and you're seeing the work. But the corporate types, they just don't want to, like, you can use LinkedIn and you can use the carousels. You could pin a post. You can, I don't know, write a blog, but you can really illustrate what you can do there. And I'm just wondering if, you know, what Kev's saying, all these corporate people in my network should be listening to this. What was it you said? If you do good shit, it'll be seen, but it won't be seen if you don't put it out there for people in my industry anyway.
No, for sure. In your industry, I get it. But it's the same question people always ask is, what should I post? Like, when should I post? Like, they're not bold enough, like, or they don't have the confidence, or yeah, they're just inexperienced, I guess. Like, and they need to just put themselves out there more. And what's the statistic? It's like, the amount of people that are on LinkedIn, there's only like 10% or something like that actually engage or share.
Yeah, that's true. But there's also a stigma on LinkedIn now, because I spoke with a guy a couple of weeks ago who's looking for a new job, and I told him to get more active. And he says, well, the issue with LinkedIn, he says, from his side, from what he's seeing in his network, is that everybody posts the traditional things like, I'm so grateful, I'm so proud, what an amazing achievement. There's no real content. So he's afraid that if he adds anything to that he's just joining some sort of social media platform that's basically Facebook. So I suppose it's how you engage with different people as well. And right, it's like you said, you got to have a message though. I suppose it's quite hard to get that message, but yeah, they should be seen. And that'll certainly help if we're talking talent sourcing, especially from my side, the more information they've got on their profiles, the better. Otherwise I won't see them.
I was laughing the other day. Actually, I was reading this post the guy had put out there, and he was like, "Why is everyone gets posting on LinkedIn breaking up their sentences?" There's a formula, isn't there, currently for where you have like a tagline, you kind of hook people, and then you in that tagline is the next line, so you contradict yourself in the second line to get people, and then you want the 3 dots.
Yeah, because you want to expand it, because the way that LinkedIn's looking at it, right, is that it's the hover time on the page. So if you just have like a one-liner, people are going to see it, they're going to read it, they're going to move on. Whereas if you've got like this hook, it's like it's journalism or something, right? And then you've got another line, then as you say, the 3 dots. 3 dots is what you're looking for, so people click on it. And then they're spending 2, 3, 4 seconds on your post, and then that gets counted as a visualization, right?
This guy was taking the piss, because this is all he sees is like in his feed is just people following the same formula. I do get his kind of point. Like, it could be effective, but there's like, you need to mix it up, I guess. If you're sharing on a daily basis, then you can't just be, it needs to be you. It's like what you said, the reader or the viewer needs to feel like there's a person behind it, and it's not just generated by AI or some other like marketing assistant or something like that. So
no, I mean, it's obviously hard for people in my network. I mean, if you're a CFO, I mean, how much time have you got to be writing content for LinkedIn and things like this? That's why maybe they should use some sort of services for things like this. But because I just think it's changing in the way that talent's kind of being sourced. And for me anyway, there's so much noise out there. In terms of the type of candidates and what everybody does. And, you really want to kind of separate yourself from the crowd. So the ones who are really proactive, have a good profile, strong messaging, it goes a long, long way.
Have you ever experienced that in your industry where people have lied on their CV, or they're above their station, or do you find like the difference between sort of like male and female, like that guys will just put themselves forward and say, yeah, they can do everything that you're asking them to do?
Funny topic of conversation, that. Yes.
Yeah,
definitely. I think what you see, but I think this is a societal thing, that when you work with the male counterparts, high level in finance and things like that, yeah, they can be quite brash and ballsy and full of confidence and say, yeah, I can do it, no problem. Oh, this is what I did this, I did that, I executed that, blah, blah, blah. And then you speak with, the women, and they're less likely to brag and to blow their trumpets, and they kind of take the work that they're doing as like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I be doing this? Why wouldn't I be involved with it? Whereas the guy is really much on top of it, kind of saying, it was me, And I think that's a conversation I'm having with a few people at the moment, is trying to help them get their message out, because yeah, they are humble. They see it as part of their role or part of their job. And maybe there's a stigma. I don't know. Obviously I'm not a woman, neither are you, in that, if a woman is seen bragging, then, they're kind of shut down or shot down, I suppose, in some instances. And I think they're afraid of that happening on kind of LinkedIn as well. But I think that maybe also stifles them sometimes in interviews.
Yeah, I don't know. We should open up that conversation with some of the interviews that we've got coming up later in the summer. We
should, because Nicole was mentioning something with this as well. As I said, I've got this really incredible candidate, and she works for an audit firm, and she's done all this work for kind of ECG, kind of built up their whole ECG pillar within this audit firm, and speaking with partners, basically built a whole new business line, whole new revenue stream from them, but you would not know it from her CV at all. And it's just like, you've got to be communicating this. And she was just like, no, I feel a little uncomfortable. I was just doing this because it was my job and I was quite passionate. And it's like, you got to get over that, and sell yourself. But it's almost like a change, a mentality change almost.
You need somebody telling them how great they are and how good they are and how amazing they are at their jobs, and giving them the sort of confidence to kind of go forward and go, yeah, I am fucking good at what I do.
Exactly. No, they should. They should. And similar conversation with a client yesterday, actually, in Sweden. And, she was telling me all the things that she's doing, that you would expect, I don't know, a COO or a CFO or someone else in the business to be doing, but she was all over it. And it's just like, Jesus, you're in the wrong job. You shouldn't be at this level. And she's like, yeah, well, actually I know, but it's just kind of step. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. So there's a bit of work to be done there, I suppose.
Well,
but, yeah.
I'm going back to the original question as to why I hired that guy on the spot. Because I know that he had just never had an opportunity before, and he had a bad run and just bad luck, I think. And I just wanted to make him happy and give him that sort of opportunity, just to really shine and be his own person and upskill and do the things that he wanted to do and be a part of a team that was creating cool shit. That's what we do. Just create cool shit.
No, that's exactly it. And when you lose talent, then how does that impact the business? I mean, you recently lost somebody, right?
Yeah, I was gutted. Yeah, I think because we're still at that size as a company where it feels like a family. It feels like a bigger loss, especially when individuals are so good at their job and they're so communicative and they bond so well with the team. And they're invested and they're passionate about like the projects as well. When somebody like that leaves, then it is a bit of a blow. Like, everyone on the team is like gutted, not just me. And yeah, recently we lost somebody, but I spoke to them. I realized that actually, they were making the right decision because it was, they were going on to something that they really wanted to try and test and they could do. And I thought that's great that they're sort of challenging themselves. And it actually makes me a better person for actually meeting them in the first place and for them being on the team and inspiring the team. I would have loved for him to have stayed, of course, but I would never want to hold back or restrict him from doing what he's gone on to do. And so, and I was able to communicate that with the team and they understood as well, sort of thing. So, and then one door closes, another one kind of opens. So we've got another person coming in as well who seems pretty good. And I'm sure they'll be a good team player as well. But there are some people on the team, that obviously we've had longer than others and would be an even kind of bigger blow if they were to kind of move on. But I just want to be there to support people as much as possible and just be able to like give them the freedom to be able to do what they do best. And so also I always say to the team as well, like, because a lot of them do their own work or their own art behind the scenes beyond the craft. Outside work, and I'm like, share that with me and I will put that in front of clients, like if I'm trying to pitch for a job, because if that's the type of work that you enjoy, those are the projects that I want to bring into the studio. And so I will use that to try and get that type of work basically to make them happy.
Is there a thing, I mean, this is completely sidetracked, do they have some sort of intellectual property rights? How does that work in your line of business?
How do you mean, for me to be able to share their work?
Yeah.
I just ask them quite openly. I will always like put them forward and say how good they are, like, or like head of animation or whoever is just released a new short film. What can I do to help kind of push this? And so when I go into meetings, I'll maybe share the work, but then I'll talk about like how talented the people behind it are. And I'm hugely open to just telling the staff or the team exactly, what I'm doing. And some of the work, for example, I'll put into pitch decks. It makes sense. It relates to the work that we're trying to get, like I've just said. So as long as they know about it, I would never be dishonest or like take their work and use it without them sort of knowing for sure. Like, and I also ask, like, if you go to I think there's a playground page on the website.
Right.
Just like work in progress, that's kind of behind the scenes, the development work that we do when we're thinking about projects, but it's also got some of the personal work from the team on there as well. But I'll also ask their permission before I sort of put it up there, of course.
Not bad. And I suppose then that kind of leads a little bit onto, I mean, if you're, you want to retain talent. So is that part of your tactic, I suppose, is promoting them as well and showing that you're kind of engaged in their development and ensuring that they, obviously get a bit of the limelight?
Yeah, I think that just comes naturally because I very, very much kind of value what they do, and we wouldn't be a studio without the team, and the team are like everything. I always put the team first ahead of everything else. I've said that a few times, but yeah, of course, and it's just comes naturally to me. So if that's helping retain staff, then I don't really think about it too hard because that's what I would naturally do anyway. Often when we're doing appraisals, I'll ask them if there's anything that we can help them with, whether that's a hardware issue or whether that's like a software issue or whether that's a skill set issue. Do they learn more? Do they want to diversify, go into different sort of areas of the business? Like, do they want to know more about certain things? Like, that they're kind of happy and feel like they can do their work efficiently and effectively as possible.
No, I think that's an important point. I think that's more and more even in the corporate world, that the managers or the business are more engaged than the employees, because, attrition can be quite high in some of these corporate organizations. Is really, engaging with them, creating growth plans. At the same instance, you need to be hiring people who are interested in that, right? You'll have some people that are what you call RIP'd, retired in position. You need a happy balance as well. You need those individuals who are just, quite happy to do the work. That's kind of your foundation, but you also need the ones above that who are wanting to take on more, who want to learn, do new things. And because as they move on, it creates opportunities for other people within the business to move up as well. But it's finding a nice little balance in that regards, that you don't have everybody. Because if you had a whole team who just wanted to grow, that's also unmanageable, I think.
Yeah, it's a balance for sure. We want to be taking on more kind of juniors, definitely, and be developing them, as you said, in that cycle. We've just never been at a size where we've been able to really offer that effectively. But we're getting to a stage now where we're going to have more structure. But one thing I was going to say actually is, like, where do you place the value between like client and team? Like, for example, is it easier to find another client, or is it easier to replace a team member?
Can you maybe move a different team member to that client? I don't know.
I often think that, well, the thing is, like, the landscape at the moment is pretty sketchy in my industry anyway. So for me, like, find the clients, the good work, and the work that everyone is wanting and is really competitive is hugely challenging. But at the same token, the artist kind of market is quite saturated at the moment because there's been quite a lot of layoffs. And
is that another perfect chance for you then to cherry pick?
Potentially, but then the good people will get more kind of work. You don't want to be taking people on for the sake of taking people on, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
To kind of fit. But I'm having those kind of conversations at the moment, and I want to help as many people that are struggling in the industry as possible. It has been pretty kind of rife. I know that other studios and companies have been finding it sort of challenging, but we've been in quite a fortunate position. But yeah, I digress. I think that's another conversation. Not the kind of worms.
Yeah, well, sourcing talent in itself. I think you can go off a lot of different tangents on this one and break it all down. But I think that was a nice little introduction to talent sourcing. Sure. I think, and a nice little part too.
More about that, or if they want to challenge it, then maybe we can have another podcast, or people can leave comments. Or
well, my one takeaway for people in my network is, get active on LinkedIn. Make my life easier, please. But that's also, I'm going to plug this one. That's also a new business line that I'm working on at the moment, is working on a consultancy basis with candidates to build their online sort of profile, but also to look at content that they can put on there, that they can be seen as kind of thought leaders. Because there's so many people out there with such amazing stories, but it's just like they're not being seen and they're not being heard. And I think it's hindering them a little bit. So I'm in your corner if they ever need to reach out. But we're not going to stop for a cup of tea now. We're going to wrap this one up because I have to go pick up my daughter from school. This is the life of Beyond the Craft. It's a school run time. That was a nice episode 6. It was episode 6.
6.2.
6.2.
Oh, yeah, we'll stitch them, but all good.
Yeah, it's perfect. And well, Kev and I are going to be on holiday soon, so we're going to make sure we get some episodes out for over the summer period. And I don't know when we're going to talk about it, but we've already got our first 3 interviews booked in for August. And I think we've got like 3 or 4 more pending, don't we? So
yep,
post summer is going to be exciting. We're going to actually have to do some work.
Iron times.
Yeah. But no, that's perfect. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. If not, don't leave a comment. And we look forward to coming back to you with episode 7 in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
See you. Bye.